Montreal Canadiens are proud to select Ivan Demidov.
What's up, everybody? Good evening. Happy Friday, March 7th. It is a live episode of the Curfew Boys podcast coming to you on YouTube and Twitter, also known as X. Happy trade deadline day. Happy anxious hockey fan day. Happy, I don't know what you want to call today type of day, but happy Friday anyway. Sammy here with my two boys, Zook and Mr. Living in South Korea, Joey, coming to you live from South Korea.
Hey now.
That is dedication, my friend. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Sam, it's Saturday. It's not Friday.
Listen,
Just letting you know.
listen,
in the future,
listen.
boys.
Listen, Joey. If
I'm in the future.
You're in the future. Listen, can you predict that we're gonna make the playoffs over there? No.
Oh, that's an Anthony question. He seems to know everything, right? So you might turn around and ask him.
Oh my God. Yeah, we should ask him. By the way, Joey, what time is it at where you're at right now? What time is it?
10 a.m.
What time is it for you people, Joey?
For
for
me,
you.
where I'm
No,
at, it's
for-
10
yeah.
a.m. Yeah.
It's 10 a.m.
Okay,
It's
then
10 a.m.
Yeah,
It is
14
8
hours
it is-
ahead.
It is 8 p.m. at our time. No, the reason why I say that is because for folks listening and tuning in, thanks for tuning in, by the way. Earlier today, Joey and I we had a discussion just to kind of like plan this episode, and that he just wanted to make sure what time it was our time. But he's like, well, for you people now, like he's calling me, telling it's like, well, for you people, it's gonna be 8
I
p.m.
said for you guys, but
For you guys, it's 8 p.m. But for me, it's gonna be 10 a.m. or something. And I obviously threw some shade back at Joy. I'm like, fuck, he's in South Korea for 2 minutes. All of a sudden, like he's no longer one of us. So it was just
hey,
it was a funny moment between Joey and I. It's like one of those you had to be there. It was a good laugh.
just to add, besides the jet lag, to be honest, like obviously waking up early, it's been awesome. I wake up, obviously it's a Saturday. I can wake up, relax, eat breakfast, clean what I have to clean, and then come on do the podcast. So basically it's a nice
Works.
addition to my morning routine for sure.
Look, there's no better way than to get your day started talking hockey with the Curfew
Exactly.
Boys podcast.
I'll have
Awesome.
a good rest of my day. Yeah.
Awesome. So, anyways, thanks for everybody tuning in live on YouTube and Twitter, also known as X. All of our episodes are available on audio format as well on platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and you can follow us on Twitter, obviously, Instagram, and TikTok. And don't forget, this episode is sponsored by the very popular and famous Habs Cave. Go to Habs Cave on Instagram. Follow that page. It's the best page you could find for Habs memorabilia. Our buddy Sunil's got the best man cave any Habs fan could dream of. Go to Habs Cave on Instagram. Follow him. Give him a follow. Give him a shout. And it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Sunil.
Happy birthday.
The Curfew
What up,
Boys.
Habs?
The Curfew Boys wish you a very merry happy birthday, Sunil. If you're watching, happy birthday, buddy. If not, well, you'll get the shout out at some point. So, boys, I think today is the most anticipated day in the NHL besides playoffs and maybe a game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals. NHL trade deadline today. My God, there was many speculations of what the Canadiens are going to do. What are they not going to do? Are they going to make trades? Should they make trades? Should they not make trades? Stay status quo. You know how it is in Habs Nation, right? But I think before we get into the trades and before we get into Kent Hughes' press conference, I think a big important detail we have to talk about. We have to start off this episode talking about the signing of Jake Evans. And all week, leading up to trade deadline day, there was like not even all week, like maybe a whole month, maybe 2 months, or a good chunk of the season. Fans and even Jake Evans himself were wondering what the heck is going to happen. And, it was made clear that they were discussing, both Jake Evans, his agent, and Kent Hughes were talking, but apparently, by the sound of it, nowhere close to a deal being made. And as the week started, I think I think Jake Evans was how can I say this, adamant that he gets a deal done. And if it meant leaving money on the table to be part of something great, the rebuild that the way this team is getting rebuilt right now, you know what? I think Jake Evans did the least selfish thing you can think of. A guy that's going to become an unrestricted free agent who had potential of fetching the most money he probably could have ever gotten in his career. But no, he decided to leave money on the table and remain a Montreal Canadiens. And so we'll go from there. Jake Evans signs a 4-year deal, each year of the cap hit of $2.85 million. $2.85 million for 4 years is a massive steal.
You remember, Sammy? We had this conversation a while ago, like several months ago.
Several
We were
times, yeah.
throwing around numbers, right? Like what would be an ideal contract
Yeah.
for a Jake Evans type player, and we were in that low threes,
Three,
at
3.5,
maybe.
3.5, yeah.
So when I saw the AAV of 2.8, whatever it was, 2.85, I think.
Yep.
Fuck, like, let's go rub that bald head's,
Dude, kiss it.
kiss that.
And
Kent Hughes
I think it's more on Evans.
working. Well,
I think it's
Look,
1,000% more on Evans. Absolutely.
Do you think basically they were presented? His agent showed him who was interested, and he just wasn't interested in going to those teams. Like the quality offers weren't.
I think he
Or he just really wanted to stay Montreal.
I think
know
he just
says
really
that, but,
wanted to stay. Well, I mean, not to get into Kent Hughes' press conference, but we'll talk about the Jake Evans signing part that he spoke about. He goes, not only is he a good player for this team, but he's a good person.
Yeah.
He's loved by his teammates. He's loved by the coaching staff. He's easy to work with. His work ethic is there. We've seen it since he's been with this team. Like,
you know who
this
we
this
could
guy.
think about? We could thank that too, because he was young in the team. But guess who rubbed off well on this bugger? Tyler Toffoli.
Yeah, there was a picture that came
Yeah,
out
good
of
point.
That
I
was
think
why
so.
Bergevin got him. Is to groom these young players, right? And then
Sure, man, you sound like you're spot on for sure. I think Tyler Toffoli had a big role to play, and maybe Tyler Toffoli is the one that told him, like, look, man, stay in Montreal, take a pay cut if you have to, but like, you know what, you're settled, you're signed for 4 years, you're 20, you're 28 years old, going to 29, like. Yeah, like your peak prime age is there, but like it goes down slowly. But if you keep the work ethic going, stay in shape, you'll still have a couple of great years and be part. Like, for sure, Tyler Toffoli knew like how good this team is going to become, and probably it could be. It very well could be. But
picture the Canadiens in the next 4 years. It's the prime. They're about to peak with where he is in his NHL career, with where the Canadiens will be within the next 4 years. It's like perfect timing.
Well, the window.
Why would he believe that?
1,000%. I think that window, that 4-year window, is going to take the team from where they are now in the mix. Next year, it's like, no, we need to make playoffs. The year after that, it's going to be like, no, we need to go past round one, and so on and so forth. Like, that's going to be within the 4 years of Evans' contract.
Mm-hmm.
And he certainly let go, I think, of at least $1 million on the table from other teams for
most likely
for off season. Yeah,
he could have clearly.
So he took.
I think he could have got 3.5 from somebody else. So
no, I think he certainly left $1 million each year on the table, right?
Yeah,
so that's $4 million total. Yeah,
dude, that's that's more money than the three of us can.
But he believes
fucking dream of.
Yeah, exactly. But he needs. We'll get there. Curfew Boys.
We will get there. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But he left. He left that money on the table. But even if he did, he knows, like you said, and it's a message from Hughes. It will certainly transition to when we talk about Habs in the deadline. I think signing Evans was an indication of how their trade deadline was going to go. Certainly
1,000%. It's you know what, I'm going to add to that. It was an indication that management was going to let this current roster players do whatever they can within their might and within their power to go get that final wildcard spot. And at the end of it all,
And you know
even
what, Sam?
yeah.
I was going to say, before you continue, I think a lot of times trade deadline is to improve your team, right? But I think Hughes knows that the team is automatically going to improve this offseason
Mhm.
without even touching it.
Spot on.
I think so, but a lot of teams try to improve their team with rentals for
Yeah.
any kind of
Yes.
shot to not
Well,
just final like to solidify that Stanley Cup playoff spot, but to see if they could go further down as long as possible. But to me, this message, this signing of Jake Evans sends a clear message to the team that, you know what, like, yeah, yes, we value his the type of player that he is, to be that role player, one of the best penalty killers in the league right now, almost top in the league for most shorthanded goals. I think he's tied for second with 4 right now, unless they updated that. But no, the message is clear. It's like, no, we want you to stay, and we also want you to help this team make whatever push you guys are trying to accomplish by the end of the season. And even if you don't make the wild card, that's okay, because there was a serious progression with this team.
yeah.
Like, they've been in the mix since the end of December. Even despite that 9-game losing streak, they're still in the
Those
mix.
two stretches
But
of losing streaks. Yeah.
despite that, they're still in the mix. To me, that's major progression, like beyond
But
beyond
that
numbers
pisses me
can
off,
say.
dude, because if we would have lost 7 instead of 9, those 2 extra
Mhm.
games, we would be in the playoff position. Like, that's what pisses me off.
We probably would have, but
Like,
Yeah,
those other teams needed to lose as well. Not like Columbus wasn't losing, Detroit wasn't
Detroit
losing.
was losing at one point.
Rangers were starting to win.
Yeah.
Boston was starting to lose. Ottawa was starting to win, slowly up and
They
down.
needed that break, the Canadiens, eh? They definitely needed
1,000% they needed that break.
And I want to ask you, is that due to the fact that, they're young players, maybe they're not used to, playing this amount of games, like especially a guy like Lane Hudson, he's playing
Mhm.
double hockey.
Yeah,
than
he's
ever
playing
done in his
than
career.
college. That's
Like,
right.
College is a short season, right? And then like other players are young as well too. So maybe that's what it is.
Dude, they got this break, which nobody's going to be against. Of course, the guys are going to love it, but they have an extra drive, man. And it starts with Nick Suzuki. It actually might start. Some could argue it starts with Nick amongst the players. It starts with Nick Suzuki, who's playing like a true captain.
Mhm.
Some say it could start with Marty. A lot of it started with Kent Hughes too, and we're gonna get to that later on. But no, this signing is what this signing does too. It opens up opportunities that leaves money on the table to go get, hopefully, one of at least one of those superstars. Probably, you never know. It won't be Rantanen. It won't be
No, it won't be.
It will not be Rantanen like we all were hoping for.
12
But
mil is too much, but it's like
we'll get to that. But like it you never know. At the end of next season, Laine's contract will be up. Carey Price's contract will be up. The cap is going up. Like that Jake Evans signing was very much a little bit like a Patrice Bergeron type of signing, a player that could have got. And now again, I'm not comparing the two players before people freak out. What I'm saying is it's a player that was able to get max amount of money for the value he was at that moment, but left money on the table to be part of something great and to give the team an opportunity to go get someone better, or not better, but like an additional player that could help bring this team to that next level and hopefully a Stanley Cup.
our job right now should be who will be available that will fit this chair, if you will, who would be
not
player
Rantanen.
that Canadians would,
No, not Rantanen.
I would never. Look, I was joking
I know.
in our chat saying that I wanted Rantanen, but at $12 million, I would never want a Rantanen. I'm sorry to say, and that's what I'm afraid of. Like, let's say next year, okay, granted, we're going to have a lot more salary cap space,
Mhm.
that's going to be alleviated, but like, if we can't forget that we still have to sign players like Demidov, who are going to be coming up.
Yep. Yeah.
Who else? Fowlers.
Well,
and
they're
all
gonna
But
have to sign
there's
the
going to be
foul.
the
You're gonna
window,
have,
Zook, right?
But like,
If there if they're all projected to get all this money, eventually the Habs cannot afford
Look,
all these
$12
big
million,
contracts, so there's
you
gonna have
better
the
be scoring
window.
40 goals, dude. Like,
Yeah,
like,
but
Yeah.
it I
like,
don't know if I see Line part of this
no.
longer term process, and he already makes 8, right? So
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
also factor in
But
somebody, Gallagher, Anderson. Like eventually, these guys are going to come off the books. So you can, and the cap always goes up, usually the way the trend is.
yeah.
So you can probably afford a big player at this price, not Rantanen, of course.
Who though? Like, that's
Maybe
what I'm
not at
curious.
12.
I've been scouring all the
Mitch
players in the
Marner,
league.
Zook.
Yeah,
Mitch
okay.
Marner.
Mitch Marner, that guy, he's the worst playoff freaking player. Like,
Hey, he did well for Canada.
He
come
did very
on.
well for
I'm very
Canada.
worried
He
because
did.
we are in that same, like, yes, we will be getting, or Kent's going to be targeting that type of player, but I'm really curious who's going to be available within the next few years, and it's the Marners for sure. But like, I want to know, like, seriously, like, what do you think, Sammy?
I'd have to go check up the list of free agents
We could see it,
I
yeah.
didn't really have the opportunity to do that, but I think we're ready to jump into the actual trade deadline day. That I guess so. Now that Jake Evans is signed, there were 3 names left that people were wondering, and maybe some could say hoping that they were
Yeah.
going to get traded. You had Christian Dvorak, who I knew wasn't going to get moved, but maybe the 2 bigger names was what's going to happen with Yoel Armia and what's going to happen with David Savard. You know what? Drum roll. Nothing. Montreal Canadiens do absolutely nothing at the NHL trade deadline. And I'm going to
That's
say
what I was
this.
saying.
I'm
Oh,
going to
go
say
ahead, Sam.
this. I'm going to say this. But even by Kent Hughes doing nothing, he still did something. And let me explain. He gave this team still a chance to fight for that wild card spot. Had he had traded any of those guys, he would have reduced those chances at least. And we know it goes against everything Kent Hughes has done since day one. He was not going to go get a rental for maybe hoping we make a final wild card spot.
No,
He was never going to do that. Never. Kent Hughes was never going to sacrifice any pick, any prospect at that matter for a rental. He was no way in hell going to do that. But also, by not making anything, he sends a clear message to the players, which is still something, saying, you guys, it's on your shoulders. You want to make the playoffs, you fight, go ahead, go fucking play your hearts out.
And then
Because
once
at the
that
end of the
was
day,
said,
yeah,
Suzuki had how many points in 5 games?
Suzuki 13 points in 5 games, 6 games,
There you go.
5 game winning streak. Yeah, they lost in overtime
It's
against
okay.
the Edmonton Oilers. They still
They still
come out with a
competed.
point.
Yeah.
We said it like after this break, there were 6 games that we're looking at the schedule. They beat Ottawa. Then we were looking at that 5-game schedule. Carolina, 2 games against Buffalo, 1 game against San Jose, and then 1 game against Edmonton. And they got out of 10 points, they got 9. 9 points.
And we were
out of
predicting maybe more 6 to 8,
we were
which they
predicting
did better.
the 3 wins. I was more or less guaranteed the Canadiens were going to get, even though they weren't the easiest ones to get. Was the two games against Buffalo and San Jose. They got those wins. They played a perfect game against Carolina, and hey, they battled against the Edmonton Oilers. At the end of the day, 6.9 seconds left. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, they're the best players in the world for a freaking reason. But Kent Hughes, by not doing anything, he still did something for this team, and that's give them the drive. And you know what? The message he also sent, I understand this is a business. They're in the business of winning. It's not always about how players feel. I understand. Sorry, in the business of winning, you can't always cater to your feelings and all that. But Kent Hughes used a human element behind this message, saying, I respect what you guys want to do and what you're trying to accomplish here. And look how happy these players are. Look how happy Nick Suzuki is, saying it's for the first time in a while. I feel so happy that a lot of these guys that are not just my good teammates, they're my good friends. They're here and we want to fight together for that wild card spot.
It's
Jake Evans is happy. Dude, Yoel Armia we barely see him smile or talk or laugh. He had the biggest smile on his face, how happy he was that he was here. I didn't see anything of Christian Dvorak. I'm sure he was happy too. Cole Caulfield, there's footage of him at practice, was hugging him like he didn't want to let him go, like he's like his bigger brother. Like there's the human element was used into this trade deadline. I understand not many people will agree with it. There's no way in hell Kent Hughes was going to sacrifice what these players have right now for a short-term rental that had no guarantee that they were going to make the playoffs.
Exactly.
I want to hear from you guys.
The one that stands out for me the most was certainly Nick Suzuki. His comments really like he did do something, and that was something for obviously the team, but Nick Suzuki was very outspoken. You can tell he hated every trade deadline he's been a part of with this team, trading guys away, left and right. And for 1 year now, it's, after many years, finally for the first time, he sees the same line mates, the same teammates, after a trade deadline, and he is super relieved. And he's responded. I mean, this was before the deadline. How many points? 13 in 5 games?
Yeah. So something like that. Yeah, he's third star of the week in the NHL.
Third star of the week. Look, Hughes said, "You guys make it happen." And Suzuki, even before the deadline, has responded like, "I want these guys here. I'm going to make it happen." And he certainly has. And look at their streak. 9 points out of 10. I would not have predicted. No one here predicted 9 out of 10. Everyone predicted maybe 6. Losing to Carolina, Ottawa might have been tough. Maybe we caught a break, with their injuries, but we battled an excellent game against a team we're 1 point behind, and that was a massive 2 points. So they really showed that they want to be in it at least for the rest of the year and stay in that mix. And Hughes rewarded it by exactly that, doing nothing.
Yep. Go Zook.
Yeah, no, just you guys basically said it all, but I want to add, it's not only just recently that Nick Suzuki wanted this. He even said it. Remember in the golf tournament before the season started?
Yeah.
When you got asked, if the Canadiens come trade deadline are going to be sellers and whatnot, he's like, "Don't ask me this question." He's like, "Fuck that." Yeah, he hated because he doesn't want that to happen. So
yeah, exactly.
That's to show you he's leading by example. Basically, he's not a man that speaks a lot. He's not like a verbose type of captain. Like, for example, I would imagine a person like who would be like a captain that speaks a lot, like
captain that speaks a lot.
That's very outspoken.
That's very outspoken in terms of their leadership. He's the opposite of that, in my opinion.
I think a Crosby Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Crosby. I'm not outspoken, but like a perfect amount. Maybe an Ovechkin.
Like Jonta was a little more verbose. Remember Jonta? Like as a Habs captain.
Yeah, probably.
He's the opposite of that. Nick Suzuki.
You could have just compared him to Bergeron. That's what Bergeron did for Boston.
Yes, but also the reason for that, I think, Joey, was that he's more of a francophone type player, living in the States. So maybe he wasn't that verbose at that point. But he led by example as well. So Nick Suzuki is very similar, right? And I prefer that than a guy that speaks more than that sells sometimes picture than what's really needed.
Well, sometimes the loudmouth isn't always listening. Yeah, for sure. No, but like it doesn't matter. Like usually captains are selected for a good reason for the most part. Yeah. But I think though. Fuck, I lost my train of thought here, but no, I absolutely, like he hated when Sean Monahan got traded.
Yes,
remember last year?
Yes.
For sure.
He was pissed. He was pissed when he found out that, and I love the fact that Kent Hughes told him like it's up to you guys. It's up to you guys. You guys are gonna determine this year what we're gonna do. Maybe the 2 years prior, they had a plan. We're going to trade this guy. This year, there wasn't that much of a plan, but it's like the plan is going to determine how you guys play, or the plan's going to pan out depending on how you guys play. So no, like today was perfect, and I think Habs fans, not panicked, but I think the reason why there was a bit more of an uproar to make a trade. Let's be honest. If Kirby Dach doesn't get injured, are we really? For the most part, going, Robbo, second line center. Let's say Kirby Doc never gets injured. Let's say he never gets injured, and he keeps playing the way he is, though. Like having a good game, he's having his up and downs, whatever. Like I don't think Habs fans would be coming here at the trade deadline and they'd be, oh, he needs to get a second line center. He needs to get a second line center. I don't think we're doing that. I really don't.
Maybe more in the off season, not a trade deadline.
For sure, in the off season, we're all going, is Kirby Doc really a centerman? But that narrative doesn't change, and it's still happening now. But if Doc doesn't get injured, I don't think we have a bit of like a more of an outspoken voice saying go get a second line center at trade deadline. Think about it. The Canadiens are in the mix without Kirby Doc and without Caden Gooley, who started skating again. But
did they say when he's coming back? I know it's indefinite.
So
they said
yet.
He
said something on it. Eh?
Yeah, he did. He said, like, look, we'll try to make him come back. It depends where we are in the standings. They don't want to force him, but if he feels ready, he could come back depending where they're at. But
that's it.
Good news is he's starting to skate. But no, look. So I saw that's all we were doing today was just being on social media, just watching people lose their fucking shit. It was hilarious and annoying at the same time. You were sleeping, which is probably better for you in the end. But
exactly,
like we look at some trades, like look at Charlie Coyle going to Colorado. Look at Carlo going to Toronto for a conditional first round pick. And there's some people there saying we could have traded Savard for that a first round type of pick. You let people like, you think so? You're telling me we couldn't get a second round pick for Savard, blah, blah, blah. One person was like, oh my God, Charlie Coyle, we could have gotten him. Like they got, not Charlie Coyle, but Casey Middlestad. Boston got Casey Middlestad. Some people were like, look at that. Boston's centermen are better than the Canadiens. And I'm there like, dude, he's going to be second line center or play on the wing when Pavel Zacha and Elias Lindholm are your top two centermen. Am I missing something here? Yeah, Casey Middlestad is younger, but what are you talking? He's playing third line. He was playing third line center for a Stanley Cup contending team like the Colorado Avalanche. He's got traded twice in 2.5 years. Bro, Jake Evans all the freaking way, man. Jake Evans all the freaking way. And I get it. Owen Beck, he's still a rookie, way too young to have a second line center responsibility. He's probably even like it probably won't ever be his role after this season, second line center. But hey, we're in the mix with him as a second line centerman. I get his ice time is reduced. I get it. I understand why, but we're still in the mix. We're 1 point behind the wild card spot, and he's our second line center. It just goes to show that this team's got drive. I'm going to say this. Kent Hughes does have to address that second line centerman in the offseason, maybe at the draft. And damn right he's going to be looking into it.
Yeah. Who, though?
I agree. I think that's the time to look at it. And it's funny. It's funny. They do like all these trade deadline rankings. TSN did one. And out of the Canadian teams, Montreal wasn't even last. They actually scored.
They were
like a B or B.
They were
plus. B just for doing nothing because they didn't give away anything, right?
Dude,
nothing valuable.
Like if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, I don't know how you're not freaking out.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know how you're not freaking out. I don't know how you're not freaking. What did the Columbus Blue Jackets do?
Nothing.
And where are they?
They're fighting for wild card, right?
They're holding the number one wild card spot, right? But even them right now, they're playing above expectations, right? They're in a rebuild just as much as we are.
But there's more than just them. I mean, did Rangers do much?
Rangers
they did Kubel.
Rangers didn't do much.
No, but they're in the mix. Boston actually gave up.
They got Carson Soucy from Vancouver. They got Brendan Brisson, centerman. Well, they gave up Riley Smith. Riley Smith going back to Vegas, a guy that had success there. I'm trying to see who else. The Rangers.
But Sam, realistically, was there anything big? Was there anything big?
the big trade that the Rangers did was sending Ryan Lindgren, Jimmy Vesey, and Hank Kempf to Colorado. For Colorado won this. Anyways, we'll get to that. Rangers got Calvin DeHaan, Juuso Parsinen. They got 2 conditional picks, a second round and a fourth round in the coming draft of 2025. The Rangers didn't do much.
Maybe I just wasn't impressed.
Detroit, what did they do? They gave up Ville Husso. Like, I understand they got a goaltender, not an issue, but they got quite a few goaltender prospects. Detroit, they're trying to hold on for their lives. They got Peter Mrazek and they got Craig Smith. Okay, a third line centerman and maybe a good goalie. I'm looking at this list here. Detroit didn't do much. Detroit didn't do.
Boston gave up.
Boston gave up. Boston told their entire fan base without saying anything, it's time for a rebuild. The Boston Bruins era of Brad Marchand and all those guys is over. Brad Marchand to the Florida Panthers. That I can't wrap my head around right now. That is going to be so weird.
It's tough.
That is going to be so weird. Looks like we lost Zook here, probably with technical difficulties. Dude,
how did we lose Zook? I'm the one so far away. How did this happen?
Zook has to pay his internet bills. That's the problem.
Yeah, dude, Brad Marchand's Sam to not be in Boston, to see him in a different uniform is
going to be so weird, man. That is going to be so weird, dude.
But the Boston era is over. I think Montreal are back, to overtaking Boston.
And we called it, dude. When they had Pavel Zacha and Charlie Coyle as their top 2 centermen, then the whole thing with Elias Lindholm, you know what I mean? Like there was no way. This was so predictable. Predictable. The whole thing with Jeremy Swayman too, like Cam Neely and those guys, they messed up in my honest opinion. But what do we care? We're Habs fans and we hate the Bruins. So again, Brandon Carlo going to the Leafs. I think it's safe to say the big move was Mikko Rantanen going to Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know if he'd get that extension, but wow.
Mikko Rantanen, how the heck
traded twice,
dude? Carolina, get him fired, get him out of here. I know they're getting Logan Stankoven, excellent player. Even though he's undersized, he's an excellent player. Like he's probably almost the Lane Hudson of forwards. How the heck did you screw this up? How did you screw? How the heck did they screw this up? Dallas, dude. Oh my god, they're gonna be strong. And he signs an extension, $12 million for 8 years. Zook, you're back. Did you pay your internet bills? No, we hear your. We hear you properly. We hear you fixed your thing, but no, like I could not believe it. I could not believe.
No, me neither.
Like the Carolina's probably dude. Colorado's freaking out. What did they offer him? And he said no.
Oh, it was definitely under 12. I don't remember the amount, but I think the years might have been less, or if it was max years.
Was it 11?
Yeah, it was something like in the 10, 11 range, I think.
Yeah.
I have to find the exact numbers, but he said no. I think Rantanen really is about the money.
Dude, I don't think Rantanen wanted to. Well, I don't know if he wanted to leave. Who the heck knows what was going on in his heart? But
he was traded twice. I haven't seen a big player traded twice.
That's crazy.
Like that. Crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
In what? In a span of a month? Maybe a bit more.
Yeah, for a guy like Rantanen.
That's crazy. That is insane. So, like, good on Dallas, man. They're going to be a heck of a team.
And Colorado.
I'm leaning more towards Colorado for winning this trade deadline.
You think?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I agree.
So they started at midnight, or as Joey would say, fuck, I can't calculate. Joey did.
What are you trying to say?
This trade happened 2 days ago for Joey, but it happened at.
It's true.
Actually, on my trade deadline, the last trade was Toronto. It actually happened March 8th for me, time wise. Yeah, so God. It actually, and the deadline's the 7th.
So think
hey,
about
man,
it.
Curfew Boys are worldwide.
Brock Nelson was traded at just past midnight today, Friday, March 7th. But so for Joey, this was yesterday. But anyways, all
Yeah.
that to say, it started with that Brock Nelson trade, and he got emotional. He didn't want to leave New York, man. He didn't want to leave the Islanders, but Brock Nelson and prospect William Dufault. I forgot about this kid. And going the other way, Oliver Killington, Callum Ritchie, who's still a good prospect, a 2026 first-round pick, a conditional 2028 third-round pick. Dude, Brock Nelson as your second-line center. And then what do? They go get Charlie Coyle. Charlie Coyle from Minnesota sending Casey Middlestad. Charlie Coyle as their third-line center. Dude, they fixed their depth down the middle. They fixed it. They got depth down the middle now, Colorado. I really think they won this trade. I really, really believe that. You know what? They brought back Eric Johnson, you know, for that veteran presence, somebody that they know very well. This was a crazy trade deadline. I have to say, this one was exciting.
Compared to the last few, like, you know, sometimes they're dead or they all happen way before. I think this has been one of the more exciting ones in the past few years. It's too bad I missed it live, but it was nice this morning to catch up on all the craziness. But really, when I saw Rantanen, and I was like, wow, I really was.
It was
but
nuts.
I'm with you, Sam. I can't. I love to argue with you. I love to go against your opinion, but I think you're on point. I think Colorado won the trade deadline. I really do.
Your guys' thoughts on Dylan Cousins going to Buffalo?
You mean to Ottawa?
Ottawa.
What did I say? Dylan Cousins from Buffalo to Ottawa. Excuse me.
Well, Josh Norris, I mean, I know he's had his downs in Ottawa. He's still not a bad player. It's not like they just completely, you know, won the trade. But yeah, that's gonna help Ottawa. It really is. I mean, there's no way to hide it.
I'm curious. I'm curious to know if Kent Hughes tried to get him.
I don't think so. I think he just really stood pat.
I
don't think so.
He's a longer term player, still young, established in the NHL, centerman. I have a feeling. But yeah, Zook. That's I'm gonna get to that. Okay. I truly think. Gut feeling here. I got no inside information, no facts, no nothing. I'm going with gut feeling here. I really think he tried. I have a feeling he tried. I think he looked at that contract. He said, yeah, there's like another 7 years or something, 6-7 years, however. But it's like it's $7.1 million. He's just paid. He's not getting paid more than Nick Suzuki. You know what? He could be another example of a player that's get the hell out of Buffalo. And your career is just starts all over again, and you're reborn, and you're a superstar once again. Buffalo, I do not understand. Kevin Adams, I don't understand that team. Like, I really, really don't. If I feel so bad for Buffalo Sabres fans. Like, this is ridiculous. This is exactly. And that live in Southern Ontario. Yep. They're all in Niagara Falls. I feel so bad for Buffalo Sabres fans. This is not funny anymore. It's really not. How do you go from Pat LaFontaine, Alexander McGillney to Dominic Hasek, and then at one point in the late 2000s, you're one of the top team with Briere, Drury, Maxim Afinoganov, Thomas Vanek, Brian Campbell. Then you had who was the goalie? Oh my God, what's that American too? Oh my God, come on! I just had his name.
Miller.
Ryan Miller. Thank you. Like how do you go from all that? Like, are you kidding me? Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart, whatever. Say what you want. Kyle Popo, but he won a cup. Now Dylan Cousins is gone. Rasmus Dahlin for sure is freaking out. Owen Power too. Like, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if those guys are gone too at one point.
No, Thompson, exactly. Man. But they can't continue that trend. Them and to me, Chicago mirror each other. They just give. I'm not saying I said this before about Seth Jones. I'm not saying I'm the biggest fan or whatever, but it's just the indication. Same with Buffalo. They just give away players all the time.
But at least Chicago won. They won 3 cups. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, you're right. That part, you're right. I'm looking
won their
more of
3
what's
cups.
happening lately.
Th-
For
th-
sure, for sure.
Like, if we thought it was bad, like with the Arizona Coyotes, this is bad in Buffalo. It's not even
Yeah.
funny anymore. It's
It's worse
horrible.
than Arizona. Well,
It's
Utah
worse.
now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
worse.
yeah. It really is.
Yeah.
Man, if we thought we had bad management or bad development or whatever the heck we thought it was bad with oh my God, it's worse in Buffalo, man. This is ridiculous. You know what, Joey? I'm glad you mentioned Seth Jones with Florida. Like, good. The Florida Panthers go and get Marchand, go and get Seth Jones. Yeah, they're older players, but they're still Brad Marchand. You know, he's
But
experienced.
they have a role to play. They have a role to play, right?
1,000%.
different.
I'm just double checking like one more thing just to see. Vanacek, the goalie they got. Seth Jones and the 4th round pick for Spencer Knight. I think that's gonna be a good thing for Spencer Knight.
It's different when you're like Jones and Marchand going to a team like Florida that's well established. I don't know about Kachuk, like his injury, but let's say he was there.
He'll be back for
It's
playoffs.
different. He'll be exactly Tampa Bay style. So that Florida, that whole Florida state, I don't know what they do with the injured players come back for playoffs. Anyways, they have a role to play. It's different, and the perfect example I can give is someone like Savard. Savard, when he was at Tampa Bay, he had a role to play.
Yep.
You know, he wasn't asked to do more. Obviously, wasn't asked to do less, but more importantly, wasn't asked to do more. He didn't have to do more. And same with Marchand Jones. They're gonna have to do their job, but they're not gonna be expected, in my opinion, to just go above and beyond, especially at their age.
They're not going to be
Florida's
relied
set up that way.
They're not going to be relied upon to carry the load. Like Marchand, if he has a top 6 role, he's going to be that last number 6. Seth Jones, he's probably going to play a number 3, maybe a number 4 role. 1,000%. Speaking of role players, I actually liked Tampa Bay going get Yanni Gourde and Oliver Bjorkstrand. I actually think those were good moves. Like Julien Brisebois, he's doing everything. He doesn't care about picks right now, man. He wants to win. He wants to give these guys another run for the cup. And you know what? I really don't blame him. I really don't. Like, good on him for making it's guts. It takes guts. It's gutsy moves. So no, honestly, like I really think these playoffs are going to be exciting. Like, whether it's I get us as Habs fans, man. We're dying. We're so dying for playoffs, and we haven't had like actual regular playoffs since. Dude. My God, since what, 2016 or 17? You know what I mean? Like since Radulov. Like don't get me wrong. Don't get us wrong, folks. That Stanley Cup final run was amazing. There was still something special, but it was during a time that like it was during a very rare, exceptional time. The city needs a full Bell Center to watch this team get on the ice and play
not only
a playoff game. This city needs it. People need to go out in the streets of Montreal, go to the bars, go out downtown, get together with friends. We need to feel that again. Like, I know we're dying, but we got to stay patient. And this is perfect transition to the Kent Hughes press conference, man. Dude, good on him for not succumbing to any public pressure. It's good on him for not making a trade for the sake of making a trade. Good on him for not sacrificing long-term for short-term. We know the vision now. Like, I love Anthony to death. And if he's hearing this, Anthony, I love you. But when we say it all depends on the vision, we know the vision now. The vision is to win. It's a long-term vision, and it's not to be a contender for one season only or 2 seasons. It's to be contenders for multiple seasons. That's the Kent Hughes vision.
Exactly.
He said it at the very beginning. Maybe we lost our way a little bit within it. The vision is to make this team a longer-term contending team. Mm-hmm. That's what he's going to do. And by him not making any moves today was perfect. I loved his press conference. There's a bunch of things that I took note of in both questions he asked in French and in English. But there's 2 things that struck me, but I'm going to leave Zook to talk about that Suzuki one, even though we mentioned it. I had no idea, like, in September in Tremblant, when they had their trip, he met with the players and he told them that whole thing was like, I don't have a set plan yet of who I'm going to trade or if I'm going to trade at the end of the season. it's going to be up to you guys to determine what we're going to do in the office. That to me was like a bit like, oh, obviously he mentioned how Jake Evans is a great person and a great teammate. Um, you know, one thing I'm happy he revealed that Oliver Kapanen is going to join the Laval Rocket at the end of his
Yeah, that's gonna help.
That's going to help big time. But he said it. They're still far from done. The work is not over. The work is not over. And he goes, sometimes he said it too. Is like sometimes he's got to convince the coaching staff a little bit more longer term negotiation than the players. Like, and you can't blame the coach, especially Marty. Marty wants to win. But again, a lot of it comes from Marty that brings that energy and that hardworking ethic, oh my God, the work ethic, energy, but yet still having fun. Another thing I'm going to mention, I'm going to give to Zook, is he tried to make trades, those longer term trades that we were talking about. He tried. And even though he was hoping to get them done, they weren't going to get done yet. He said out of respect for certain players and their names, he's like, I'm not going to reveal names, but because they're good players, they're good prospects. I'm just saying.
That's what I was going to say, because he did say something to the point where he was talking to players that weren't even in the tabloids. So he's calling teams. He's calling teams for everybody, not just the players that were traded or were being spoken about, rumored. He was talking to teams about players that, like you said, prospects or established players. So he's true. So even though we know his plan, right, Sammy? Like we know the plan, not his plan, but the Montreal Canadiens' long-term plan. Yeah. He's still trying. He's still seeing if teams are open on certain days to certain discussions that might be in favor of the Canadiens.
Oh, he planted. I'm willing to bet every dollar.
He's planting his seeds.
He planted. I'm sure he planted seeds because again, he said the job's not done. We still didn't build a team that we think can compete for Stanley Cup playoffs. Let alone not only try to make this a wild card spot, compete for the cup. But he addressed the whole Kirby Dach things. Like we brought in Kirby Dach to be an excellent player for this team. But he didn't say anything about him being a centerman. That to me tells me he knows. Yeah. He knows. Like, look, guys, it's so obvious. If fans across the city know that Owen Beck is not a second line center, and maybe not even Kirby Dach is a center, you really think Jeff Gordon and Kent Hughes don't know either? They 1,000% know. Of course they know.
They just can't say it. They can't say it, right? Exactly. They're going to leave you with that curiosity. They're gonna leave you with.
They're playing poker, dude. It's like
But dude,
yeah, you never reveal your hand.
Let's go back to what he told Suzuki. Like, dude, talk about balls of steel. He's like, how I'm gonna make, depending how you guys play, will determine whether I make moves. But it's on your shoulders. If you don't deliver, don't come back to me and tell me who to trade or who to not trade. Type of deal. Like, can you imagine? Like, talk about transparency.
And then boom, wins.
Boom, wins. That was right before the 5-game.
Now we will see. We will see now after trade deadline. Like maybe mentally, you're still in the back of your mind. Guys can get traded. We'll see. I think they'll even have less thoughts on their mind and just go out and play hockey now that it's all over.
I think so too. But I agree with you in the sense that's like now that the weight is off their shoulders for at least 3 of the 4 players, like don't take they cannot take their foot off the gas pedal. They really can't here. They really can't. So no, dude, I loved his press conference, man. It's so, but it's so refreshing. I still think it's refreshing, despite what some people might think today. He didn't make a move. It's disappointing. Yeah, maybe it's disappointing. You know what? If anything, I would have loved to have seen a bit of a move made for Laval. Go get a veteran like Alex Belzil or something. But then you kind of understand, well, Oliver Kapanen is coming. Maybe that's why he didn't. Or maybe he tried. It was just an offer that just wasn't worth it or something. Guys, I have full faith in this management. They still have their draft picks. Like they could package whatever they want. Like they got. We don't see it. We don't know it. I still think they have a bit of leverage. more than we think. I like to think they
I
still
agree.
got 2 first-round picks. They could package anything. If they go get not Trevor Zegras. Oh my God, no! I want Mason McTavish. I'm just throwing it out there. He's an RFA for the
He's a
Ducks.
centerman, right?
He's a centerman.
So he could be the second.
I'm just saying, like, I would love if they
I
pull.
like the way McTavish plays, dude.
Dude, he's like
in the. I saw him play. I think in the juniors in Team Canada.
Dude, he was a
like
beast,
couple years
a
ago.
beast,
But he
beast.
plays like a
true Canadian, like
but
a true
he's a
Canadian.
power type of a player.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
the way he
yeah.
skates.
Oh,
I
a
like
thousand.
that,
Like
man.
I look, that's just my personal. That's my personal preference. But
Oh,
before we
I love
wrap it up, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys might have noticed in Kent Hughes' press conference that like kind of stuck out? That still delivered a clear message, but besides, be patient, Habs fans.
No, I think you and Zook were spot on. I really think he addressed everything with transparency, with leaving like Zook said, poker face, right? He's not going to
Mhm.
reveal everything that's going on. You can't, and I don't know, it's exciting. You have that curiosity in you. You don't know what's going to come next, but he was also very transparent. Guys, I didn't do anything. I didn't give away any of your players. It's certainly now on you, and he's putting a lot of trust into it, and that's really what I gathered mostly from the press conference from
Yeah,
Hughes today.
yeah.
Mhm.
Rewarding you guys by sticking together. That's basically what he did, and so that comes back to full circle again. Kent Hughes did nothing, but still, by doing nothing, he still did something.
Yeah.
Before we finish, I just want to mention that I was at the Laval Rocket game on Wednesday night. Laval Rocket,
Did you see his
guys,
goal?
guys,
You were there, right?
dude, I was right in front of it. Like it was, it
Good
was like,
stick.
guys, David Reinbacher Wednesday night was such a beast. This kid is so good.
His point
Like,
production so far is pretty good too.
a goal and an assist.
I'm not saying
One of them on the power play. He got hits. Like
He's
again.
he's not
it's-
made for the HL. Like clearly, he's a step above.
Oh, dude, I like
Yeah.
it doesn't
Like
make
a
any
Mayu.
sense how this guy missed more than almost 3/4 of the season, and he's playing the way he's playing. Nothing flashy, nothing fancy, simple, smart decision making hockey. He's feisty. He could hit, bro.
Yeah,
He took down a guy half his size,
I saw
but that
that.
Padon keep giving him cross checks,
Yeah,
and he was like,
him.
enough. And just, I don't know if he was
So-
hanging out with Jack Guy all
Probably.
season, but oh my God.
But you remember when he got injured and we're like, oh fuck, it's a waste of season, or something like.
Yeah.
Like we're saying it's bad for his development. You know what? I'm glad he came back at this point.
Yep.
Of the year, and he's gonna play in the playoffs.
Yeah,
for the
1,000%.
Raptors.
It's the final grind.
So is
And
it
yeah.
really considered a loss? I don't think so because he's playing really important games at this point.
Well, my personal opinion, I think they needed this full season to see if he's ready for next year and to fight for a spot
Exactly.
that maybe if they bring back David Savard on like a 1-year contract for $1 or $2 million, well, as a young guy like David Reinbacher gonna like kind of try to push some of the older guys out. Like,
I think he's gonna be a.
I think he's gonna start in Laval next
Yeah.
year because of the injury that he got this year.
Exactly.
If
But
anything, he should have been a call up by the end of this season.
correct.
Obviously, it's not gonna. Maybe it could happen. It could. I mean, the Rocket play 72 games. Canadians play 82 games. It could still happen. We might wait and see, depending if they're out of a spot, the wild card spot. I could see that happening.
Mhm.
The Canadians did do a paper transfer for Owen Beck and Jakub Dobeš, which means at the end of the NHL season, both of those guys could go back to Laval and they're qualified to take part in the AHL playoffs.
One last thing. Did you
One
hear
last
that
thing.
he got Kent Hughes got asked about Jacob Fowler and the possibility of him signing and joining Laval at the end
It's
of the
gonna
season.
It's going to come
He's
down
like-
to the.
It depends on where when the season ends and playoffs and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also the fact that he's in school makes it
Yeah.
tricky.
Yeah.
But there's a possibility he didn't say no.
For sure.
Oh, 1,000%. It's going to come down to how his team does in the NCAA playoffs, and if they go all the way to the Frozen Four,
He's so dominant.
you know what? I'll be happy though if Jacob Fowler does not come to the Canadiens at the end of the season.
Yeah.
It's good. He won't burn a year off his contract,
Oh, yeah.
like Lane Hudson like Layton Hudson and Jaden Struble did. Because they came, they signed, they had to burn a year,
I
and they
didn't
only
think
had
of
2
that.
years left. I hope for Fowler's sake, and I hope he wins the Frozen Four. That would be the best thing for him.
He's so
And then
dominant. I don't know if you see
hit, then
even his
him
stats.
him and Ivan Demidov join the Canadiens next year as well. Guys, folks, there's the light at the end of the tunnel got slightly brighter today. I'm gonna end it at that.
It definitely did.
Look
I'm
at the
gonna end
light.
it at that.
See the light?
Look
It's right there.
look at the light. Go straight to the light, folks.
Like the mosquitoes.
Exactly. Until you, all righty. Well, guys, if you have nothing left to give, Joey, you're starting your work day. We're gonna go get a good night's rest.
Work
pretty
day. It's
soon.
Saturday.
What the
Let me
hell,
enjoy
man?
a day off at least.
Listen. My work day today was Friday. Today, my schedule today was like my Monday. So leave me alone. Go
Okay.
enjoy.
All right. You're forgiven.
I'm
Thanks.
a little bad.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I guess that's a wrap. Once again, folks, thank you so much for tuning into this live episode of the Curfew Boys podcast, YouTube and Twitter, also known as X. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. We're there as well. All of our episodes available on audio format on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Joey, buddy, we're happy you're all settled in and you're there safe. Enjoy your Saturday. It's your Saturday right now.
I'll enjoy.
We're ending Friday on a very good note. I really enjoyed this episode, guys. Hope you all enjoyed this episode too. Listen, a couple of games left. The Canadiens play, I believe, the Calgary Flames Saturday night in Calgary, but it's not a late game. My God, then next week it's going to be one of those late games all the way in the West Coast with Seattle and let me go get the schedule here. I remember seeing, I think Utah's in there as well. Yeah, it's freaking-tastic. Yeah, Vancouver, Seattle. No, not Utah. Just Vancouver on Tuesday night, Seattle Wednesday night. And the Canadiens come back at home next Saturday against Brad Marchand and the Florida Panthers. That is gonna be so weird, but so fun nonetheless. Gentlemen, Zook, have a good night. Joey, have a good day.
Have a good day. Yeah,
guys,
I'm gonna go
enjoy
enjoy
everybody.
Now.
Enjoy everybody. Thank you. Go Habs go. Until we see you next time. Bye now. Good night.